Massachusetts Breast Cancer Coalition is dedicated to preventing environmental causes of breast cancer. Please join us for our 2019 annual.
Welcome to FabFit TV. I am your host, Kim Barnes-Jefferson, and I help women over 40 to feel free, fit, comfortable, and confident in their bodies. And today's topic is going to be a little, I think I might trigger a few folks with this topic. The topic's all about moderation, and it is finding your sweet spot. And I know for a lot of people, that's the goal, the hope. They want to get to that golden zone. They want to get to that like magical place where like unicorns are flying around and there's glitter and so forth. But for some people, they're like, moderation is not for everyone. I've tried to get to moderation and somehow I find a way to like flub it up. And then I'm back to, that, binge restrict cycle. I'm back to my rules, and I got to keep my rules because my rules keep me safe. And so I remember I live here in Boston. So I have a really good friend who is a marathon coach, and he coaches several teams to run the marathon from, you just decided you wanted to run the marathon to you've been running the marathon for as long as you can run a marathon. And I asked him, I said, John, at the time I worked at the last mile of the marathon. I said, John, I'm like, how is it that these elite runners have just run 25 miles and they're like sprinting? They are just like running like they just started down the street. I said, how do they do it? And he said, it takes a bit, but they find their sweet spot. They find that pace that they can just do. Like, it's just, I can run this over and over again. And then when they get to roughly, 6 miles out, which kind of makes me like gag, that 6 miles out, someone's going to look at each other and they're going to say, we're going to sprint the last X number of miles. Because the idea of me sprinting, that's what I do when I see the meter maid at my car. That's my idea of sprinting. So here is, if we think about our health and our fitness as a marathon, right? It's just, it's a long journey, it's not a sprint. And how do we get to that sweet spot? How do we get to that golden zone? How do we become our own magical unicorn? Because I believe that everyone has a little magic in them. And it just takes a little bit of time to find it. I think I'm going to call it a fable, but correct me if I'm wrong. Aladdin. In that story, guy finds this old tarnished lamp. It looks like crap. People are like picking over it. And he's like, I think this is beautiful. He rubs it, genie comes out, and all is changed in his world. So that's where I want you to think about. I want you to think about, you're that lamp, right? You've overlooked yourself for all these years. You've put yourself on the back burner. Now here's where we're going to start to rub that lamp, make it get pretty, make it get beautiful. And so put those eye rolls on the shelf. And I'm going to tell you my story. I struggled with this whole moderation thing. I was like, girl, that is just not for me. That's for other people. But thank you for sharing that that's possible. And I know that a few of you are like that. But I felt that if I wasn't following a plan or following a program to the T, like I couldn't live. Like I didn't know what to do. I didn't trust myself. That not to look at, what should I do today? What's the good food? What's on the good food list? What's on the bad food list? I couldn't trust myself. And the plan made me trust myself. The plan kept me safe. The plan kept me from, running around like a sailor on shore leave, right? So I want you to think that it's about finding that yin and that yang. If you think about this old school scales where, you put something on one side and the other side goes up. And then you have to kind of fool around with, how many marbles you take off and put back on so that it comes into balance. And I know so many people are like, oh, there's no such thing as balance. I do believe there's balance, but balance looks different for every single person. Because there are some days that you are going to be running around with chicken with your head cut off, and other days you're going to be Netflix and chilling. So you know when that rhythm, and that's what moderation is. It's finding your rhythm, it's finding your balance so that you're not brought down to your knees because of a holiday and you lose your stuff and you can't find a way to get back on track. Um, Balance and moderation is not having these hard, fast rules that you can't live up to day in and day out. And when you do, open the lid, it's like champagne flowing out. So I want you to think about that. How do you get a little bit of that self-trust back in? And one of the ways I started to find my moderation and kind of keep my A++ personality in check is I start with a weekly plan. And it's me sitting down every single Sunday and saying, what does my week look like? And, us ladies of a certain age, most of the time, stuff doesn't just pop up. We know, what we're doing. There might be like a vague something, but you can it's penciled in. But you kind of know what's going to happen. It's rare that someone's going to call you on a Tuesday night to be like, let's go out for drinks at 5:00. Because, for most of us, once you get home and your bra comes off, you're not going back out. Let's just be honest about that. So I want you to think about creating that weekly plan. And you're sitting down and you're looking at your calendar and you're saying, this is when I'm going to work out. Realistically, like I'm not asking anyone to work out 7 days a week. That's not what I'm asking. I'm saying, my commitment to myself is I am going to work out at least 3 times. And I know I can do that. Usually I work out 4, 5 times, but I know I could minimally hit 3 and definitely hit 4, and 5 is my stretch goal. So I want you to think about that. When I put down my week, it's my good, better, my best. And so I want you to put down something that you can nail. Because as you're starting to get into the moderation groove, you want to have these small wins. And small wins keep you wanting to do stuff, doesn't it? Or if you have a schedule that isn't as, stable as mine, you can definitely start with a 24-hour plan. So, you sit down and you say, okay, it's Tuesday. What does tomorrow look like? Can I fit in a workout? What does my food look like? And just map it out. When am I going to, maybe it starts with, this is when I'm going to bed, and then you map it backwards, or you put in, what are the commitments that you have that day, and then you fit your, your food and your workout around those particular commitments. And, as I said, I've come up with these non-negotiables, and that way I honor myself. Because if you think about it, we as women honor everybody else before ourselves. We'll run kids to XYZ activity, birthday party, tryout, whatever. We will contort ourselves to get them there on time. We'll contort ourselves for our spouses. We'll contort ourselves for our family. But when it comes to us, I'm being selfish, or, tomorrow or next week. And we always find a way to put ourselves in the back seat. So this helps me to put myself in the driver's seat. And I've come up with 3 non-negotiables, and it helps me to say, it's okay for me to have Kim time. And so this is me giving you permission to have you time. And it's 3 simple things that I know I can commit to week in and week out. So my first thing is I work out at least 3 times a week. And so when I say work out, that's not me going to the gym and, banging it out for multiple hours. That's me having 30 minutes. It could be anything. It could be going for a walk. It could be doing something in my home gym. It could be actually taking a class. But it's 3 times for at least 30 minutes I have to move my body in a week. The second commitment I have to myself is every single day I have a big ass salad and with some protein on it. And that way I can get a ton of veggies in. So I know that I'm getting my veggies, I'm getting my fiber in, and I like salads. And I know that I can go anywhere on the planet and get a salad. And the third thing is my sleep, because I know that when I don't sleep, I am hungry. And I want you to, that's a simple way to test. I want you to, to track your sleep for a week. And when you track your sleep and you get less than 7 hours of sleep, I want to know at what point do you start getting those like sugar or caffeine cravings to like give you that extra bump to get you through the day? Because I know when I get less than 6 hours of sleep, me and my coffee makers are BFFs. I'm like, bring on the coffee. And around 4 o'clock, I was like, what sugary treat could I have? And let me tell you, it's not me reaching for the cotton candy grapes. So that's why I know I prioritize my sleep. So I want you to think about, does that same scenario play through for you? And as you see, this has become, it was me changing 3 habits. 3. And I know everyone wants to change, but I have this many habits to change and I need to change them right now. No. I want you to think about bare minimum. Give me the bare minimum. And that starts a good habit. Once I have good habits, then I can build a routine. Once I have a great routine, I can build consistency. And it's the consistency that gives me results. And a lot of times I talk to my clients, they're like, oh, I'm not getting any results. Oh, this isn't, and they're complaining. And I'm like, you know what? You don't have consistency. And they're like, blah, blah, blah. And they give me, the litany of excuses. And I was like, let's go back to habits. Give me 3 habits that you would love to either create or break. And because it's the habit that drives the routine. And it's our routines that we work on autopilot, Think about it. Think about your routine, washing your face and brushing your teeth. What do you do first? Do you brush your teeth first or do you wash your face? That's a habit. That's a routine. You just do it over and over again. When you have coffee in the morning, do you put in the cream before the sugar? Do you put the sugar in before the cream? It's what you do, right? So I want you to really think about, where can we create some great habits that can turn into some amazing routines, that can turn into that consistency, that can turn into, voila, results. And it's slow. I know. It's slow. But I want you to think about the Grand Canyon. That giant ravine, I don't know how many miles long it is, Google that. But that didn't happen overnight. That was years and years of the river carving through rock. That is how change happens. It happens over time. I know we all want change to be like some type of action movie where, I walk through a door and boom, bam, boosh, everything happens. No, my queens, not at all. It is a slow thing. And so when I break things down into small bite-sized chunks, you know how I am. I really like to check things off the box. So the more I can give myself these mini goals, the more check boxes I can have, and the happier I am, because it looks like I'm on my way somewhere. But when I'm always looking that I have to lose 1,000 pounds, I have to lose 40 dress sizes, that's a long freaking way. And, I started this show about marathons. And one of the things the marathon coach told me is that they take it 1 mile at a time. They're like, how did I do that mile? How did I do that mile? And, they're checking their watches to see, what was my pace? They're checking in, what's my hydration levels? They're always checking in. And that's what I want you to do. As you start going through your goal, what are the milestones? Because that's how you get to moderation, is that you're checking in with yourself, seeing how things are going. And if things are going good, you're like, yeah, things are going good. I can continue down this path. And start to feel the groove, start to feel like this is what, it feels like, and feel amazing. Because, so many of us, we've been dieting for so long, we don't know what it's like just to be. And, when you let the reins off, I know that many of you feel like, oh, snap. If I let the reins off, man, there's no getting this horse back in that barn, because, once I get a taste of something, I am free. I am free range. But what if that wasn't the case? What if that was just a story you told yourself? What if someone did leave the barn door open and you just went out and you just grazed and you felt okay, and when you were tired of grazing, you went back in the barn, you went to sleep? That's possible, right? Why do we have to have in our mind, the worst possible case. Like, oh, if I do not have a plan, if I don't have any rules, I should just pull up to the Old Country Buffet with some maternity pants on and just let it go down. But what if instead you're like, you know what? I'm just going to eat till I'm full. And even if that means leaving some things on your plate. And I know that when I was a kid, and I'm grateful for my mother for this. So when she was a kid, she was raised, you had to clean your plate. And my mother's like, well, if I'm not hungry, I'm not hungry. And she was raised in that family that took your plate and put it in the refrigerator and you ate it until you finished. And that was before the microwave, so it was cold. So she was like, I'm not raising my kids that way. So I've never been someone who's been a member of the Clean Plate Club. As soon as I was done, I stopped eating. As soon as I was full, I stopped eating. I didn't want to like push food into my mouth. And so many people will say to me, I don't know when I'm full, right? If it's in front of me, I'm eating it until it's done. So what I encourage my clients to do is to eat half your meal. So whatever you're eating, eat half of it. And take a pause for 2-3 minutes. And just tune in and check in, because the travel time up your nervous system between your tummy and your head, there's like a little delay. Have you ever been on like a Skype call or a Facebook call and you're talking and then they just like freeze and then you like wait and then they like catch up? That's how your brain is to your stomach. So just take 2-3 minutes, check in, ask your question. Am I full? Am I not full? And, it's not wasteful. If you're at a restaurant, doggy bag. If you're at home, have it later. Like split up your meal in two. Maybe you had a bigger portion than you were hungry for that particular day. And so I hope that you're picking up what I'm putting down here, because one of the ways I was able to break free of this whole like perfectionism, or the fact that like my meal plan called to eat X number of carbs and X number of fats, I just had to break away, and I had to start asking myself better questions. And one of the questions I asked myself was my quest for perfection costing me? Like, what was it costing me? This, like, I had to follow the plan to the T. Like, what was it costing me? And then, was it pushing me further from my goal? Because when I got frustrated, I would sabotage. And, was I using diet and exercise to control my life because I had things in my life that weren't controllable? And again, I told you I was a type A++, and at the time, at the height of my like diet mania, I had a really hectic job, and I had things that I couldn't control. I had a like hectic and chaotic boss, and so I couldn't control that, but I could control food. And so, and I see it play out sometimes for my clients. One of my clients, she is a new mom. She runs a business, trying to be a good wife, trying to be a good mom, to be a good business person. And she is literally picking her body apart because her life, that she hasn't found her rhythm yet in this whole mommyhood. And one of the things I've told her is that you have to take this giant step back and figure out what is your new life with your little nugget. Right? How does your nugget play into everything else that you were trying to do? Because you might need to stop doing some things just because you have to take care of your kid. You might have to delegate some things because you have a kid now. And so, maybe that free time that you had is now, you're being a mommy. And, being okay and comfortable with that's what has to happen. So that part of moderation comes with you doing an internal look to see, are you trying to take on too much to like prove to yourself like, I can do it, like I am woman, hear me roar? Because if you're burning yourself out, like who's going to hear you roar? Or are they going to hear you scream when you pass out on the floor? So I want you to really, really focus in on, you know, with the restrictions that I'm setting up for myself, is that creating a life that I can live long term? And if you can't live that life long term, or you always find yourself cheating on it, um, you know, this client, she always is like, this is what I'm doing this week. I'm like, great, let's do it, And then the following week, I'm like, hey, how'd we do? And she's like, well, it was a really rough week. So, the wine and the chocolate came out. And that right there, I tell her, I was like, the wine and the chocolate is your response to stress. And so every time that wine and chocolate comes out, you got to look at what's causing the wine and chocolate to come out. And so if that sounds like you, like, it's time for you to really evaluate what you're doing in your life that needs to change. Because if you want to see a change in your body and you keep reaching for wine and chocolate, moderation is going to be like, it's pretty much like traveling to Mars for you. So, and I don't want that. I want moderation to be like, maybe for some of you traveling cross country, some of you traveling across town, because maybe some of you are already there, or you're on like the town line, and you just need to make a few tweaks and you can stay in that like magical golden zone. So in order for me to get through to moderation, I had to break up those rules. And I had to start really listening to my body. I had to stop saying I needed to have X number of meals a day and really just trust that and eat how I felt. Now I know that takes time. And again, remember I said this is a marathon, not a sprint. When it comes to food, one of the big things, my biggest breakthroughs when it comes to like the moderation for food, is that I had to balance satisfying versus satiating. Okay. Satisfying is up here. My brain sees something on my plate and it's like, yeah, get in my belly. And when I eat it, if I'm full, I feel fullness, that satiation. That word is tough for me. So that's all the blood vessels and the sensors in my stomach saying, all right, girl, we're full. But I also have to have it up here, because if my brain looks at something on the plate and is like, not feeling this, I'm going to be a bottomless pit. And so I want you to think about how many foods are you eating that give you that visual, that brain candy, if you will. And how many foods are you eating because it's on the good food list? And so that's where I want you to really kind of tune into your body that says, eating chicken, broccoli, and brown rice. Is it satisfying up here or is it satisfying down there? Like what's happening? Pay attention to that, because that's when you start to really start to honor yourself, and you start to eat differently and eat better foods that will keep you fuller longer. And, the goal is to stay fuller longer so that I'm not, constantly in, seek mode, because usually when I get into that seek mode, I'm seeking foods that I really know that aren't good for me. I'm going for the quick fixes of the junk food, so that it's, how quickly can, I get another dopamine hit up here in my brain for something that is satisfying versus satiating. And then workouts. I want you to just focus on, I want to work out for at least 30 minutes. Start with 30 minutes. And I know that it's kind of scary to step away from those 2-hour workouts, because trust me, I was that girl. I remember going to the gym with my husband, and we would always walk in together, and we would say, how much time do you need? For me, a good workout was 90 minutes, right? If I couldn't get a 90-minute-ish workout, and if he had to leave early, I remember I would be mad. I'd be like, how can we not work out for 90 minutes? Seriously? And I was just like, okay. And meanwhile, on the inside, I was like, oh, I'm mad. This workout should be 90 minutes. Or, why do it? or if I had less than 60 minutes, I was like, I have no time to come back to the gym to finish my workout. And now I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus, how much time did I spend at the gym? Where now I've become way more efficient with my workouts. That, in literally 30 to 45 minutes, I can kick my own booty and feel sore. So I want you to really look at what you're doing for your workout, and is it more of a mental thing than a physical thing? Because trust me, there are some crazy kick your booty workouts that can be done in 30 minutes. And so for those of you guys who, one of the reasons why you're not able to find moderation, you're not able to find the consistency, especially when it comes to workout, is because you think a workout has to be, this marathon session at the gym. Holla at your girl, because I can help you out. I do, on my Instagram, I do every Friday a fat burning Friday, and it's probably no more than 5 exercises that are done either for time, done for rounds, and it's body weight exercises or requires very little to no equipment. And it's things you can do at home. So if you are someone who is like, oh, okay, I don't have a gym membership or want to have a gym membership, or maybe you have kids, you want to work at home, it's really simple. I have a good friend, Carrie, she has a 2-year-old. Yeah, she has a 2-year-old, and she, she sits him over in the corner. He's like playing with blocks and coloring, and she pulls out, 10, 15-minute workouts. And sometimes it's a couple times during the day, or sometimes it's just 15 minutes, wherever, her son's tolerance is at that particular day. So I really want you to start to think about, rounding out, what does that type of moderation look like to you. But the big takeaway that I want you to take from, this session is, 1, be flexible. Be flexible, but be committed and driven. And commit to yourself, just like you commit to other people. And so